Hello? Hello? Can you hear me if I talk? Can you hear me if I talk? Really, some mouse if you like. Oh. Um, yeah, it's a start. Can you see the screen moving and everything? It's hard because I don't have any input from you, or only the text. So yeah, with this is I will talk about this problem, the credit card checker from Codecademy. We have three sets of valid, invalid, and mystery cards. The cards are represented as array of numbers, and we need to do a couple of things for uh, developing this program. So the first instructions are starting from the farthest digit to the right, uh, iterate to the left. So they're telling us with this right here that we need to start at the end of the for loop, at the end of the array, and move left towards the first item, the first digit in the array. And it says as you iterate to the left, every other digit is double. So when they say every other digit, that means this number is an even number. So we can check with if the number is even or odd, and if it's even, we can double it. But if we double it, we need to check if it's greater than 9 after the doubling. If it's greater than 9, then we need to subtract 9 from that value. Then the third instruction is to sum up all the digits in the credit card number. If the sum modulus 10 is equal to 0, meaning that the whole digits that you have, the whole numbers that you got, you sum them up and divide them by 10. And if you divide them by 10 and it's equal to 0, that means that the number is a valid number. Otherwise, it's an invalid number. So here we have the function validate cred, which takes an input array. The input array can be the credit card number. This could be credit card number. And since we changed it here, we need to change it here. So basically, we're gonna start from this array. We're gonna get the length. We're gonna initialize the digits that we need to keep track of, like if it's double or if it's not double. We need an array to store those numbers. Here we have parity check, meaning that the length of the array is divided by 2. If it's the length of the array modulus 2, if it's even or odd. And we're gonna check if I modulus 2 equals parity, then we're gonna add the number that we have to our digits array, where we're gonna keep track and later on sum up to check if the credit card is valid or not. But otherwise, if the current number modulus 2, it's not equal to the parity of the whole credit card array, then we have to multiply it by 2, double it, and if the multiplication by 2, the doubling, it's greater than 9, we need to subtract 9 as well. And after we do that, we add that new number to the digits that we're trying to sum. Afterwards, we have all the digits that we needed in this digits for sum array, and we're gonna use our reduce method, which has an accumulator value and the current value. And this, it will return for each position of numbers inside of the digits for sum array. It will get the accumulator, which starts as 0, and the current value, which will be either the first number that's in this array, the second, and so on. And this will give us the sum of all digits, of all the digits of the card, after we have applied this algorithm to it. And then we say, if the sum of those digits modulus by 10 equals 0, then the card is valid. Else, if that's not true, we're gonna return false. How did I do? I don't know who's listening, so yeah, gets me nervous. So having constructed this, well, let's go back to the code. So having constructed this function, we started, we have that valid credit card check. That's step number 1. So now we're gonna do step number 2, which tells us we need to create another function, name it find invalid cards, that has one parameter for a nested array of credit card numbers. When they say nested array of credit card numbers, it means an array that is holding each of these credit card number, which is an array in it of itself, kind of like we're having here. Invalid array has the invalid, it has the in credit card that is invalid, the first credit card that is invalid, and so on until we get to the 5th one. So the role of finding invalid cards is to check through the nested array to watch for numbers that are invalid and return another nested array of invalid cards. So here we have the method called find invalid cards, and we are passing it a nested array. So this nested array will have each element of this nested array will be an array of that represents the credit card. So we're gonna create a new array called invalid cards, and we're gonna filter with the array that was passed as a parameter, and we're gonna check if the card number for each card number, we're gonna check if valid cred of that card number is false, meaning that this function right here, valid cred, returned false, saying that it's an invalid credit card number. If it's an invalid credit card number, we're gonna store it in this array, this new array called invalid cards, and that array is what we will return. So here we got another question that was asked, but rather than asking, this was a given in the details of the question. It was said that if the Amex, if the card started with a number 3, it would be a credit card from Amex, meaning American Express. If the credit card started with a 4, it would be a Visa credit card. If it would start with a 5, a MasterCard, or if it was with a Discover, it will end with it will have a starting number of a 6. Since those are the valid card numbers companies that the problem offers, everything that's different from these numbers 3, 4, 5, or 6, we're simply not gonna contemplate, and we will exit early if we receive one of them, because it will mean that they are not a valid credit card company that we are currently interested in checking. So yeah, this other function here, the instructions were create a function invalid credit card companies that has one parameter for a nested array of invalid numbers and returns an array of companies. This function should return an array of companies that have mailed out cards with invalid numbers. This array should not contain duplicates. So it says here that we cannot have duplication, and it says, I should have typed this to the next line like that. And even if there are 2 invalid Visa cards, only one Visa should appear in the array. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna declare a constant, which is gonna be the companies array, the companies that we might return if there was something that was not valid. And we're gonna say we're gonna do this operation here, that we're gonna do a for each loop on the nested array that we receive. Keep in mind that the nested array would most likely contain an array for each position, which those arrays will be the credit card numbers. So for each credit card number, we're gonna do something in this function here. We're gonna get company, and we're gonna get the ID of the company, which we'll call this function, meaning that if this card number starts with a 3, it would be Amex. If it's a 4, Visa, and 5 and 6, it would be MasterCard or Discover. Then we're gonna do companies, and we're gonna say we're gonna do this little trick to check for if the companies array already has this value, meaning that it will not return -1 because it has it. So we're saying here, if it doesn't has it included, then we will push it to the company's array. If it's found, it's meaning that it will return a number not equal to -1. We will not push that value to the company's array, because it will mean that it's already there in the array and we didn't want to duplicate. And afterwards, we just return the companies. The other problem that they showed us is this one, which says, to make it easier to test credit card numbers from a credit card generator, create a function that accepts a string and converts it into an array of numbers, like the initially provided arrays. So they are saying that if they pass the number from a function that generates a valid or invalid credit card number, we need to convert it to this array format. And so since we face that issue, we're gonna say we need a numbers array. So we're gonna create the numbers array here and set it equal to an empty array for now. And then we're gonna loop over the string that gets passed to this function. And for each character, we're gonna do something. We're gonna say that for each character, we're gonna push to the numbers array that character, but to convert that character to a number, we're using parseInt, which is a function from JavaScript that lets us convert a character. And since we're passing the 10 here, that means that we want to convert it to an integer of the base 10 system, which is our number system. And simply after this loop finishes, we're gonna return the numbers array. Then we have another function that I created myself for it, which is gonna do another conversion, but this time it is going to convert an array like this of a credit card, and it's going to convert it to a number that we can display for when we're testing our app. And the way I did that was that that card array that we get, we're gonna get an array that's gonna be a card number, and we're gonna do card array dot join with the empty character, like the null character. So that means that it will do an array containing each of these numbers. And since we're using here the plus symbol, we're gonna convert it into a single number. So afterwards we return this number. So then we have this testing functionality. We're gonna test each and every one of the functions that we wrote, and we are gonna do it like this. We're gonna testing for invalid cards, and invalid cards should be all the cards in the invalid array. So to make it a little bit easier for us to see the invalid cards and the valid arrays, I'm gonna move these 3 arrays that we got here all the way down so we know what arrays we are talking about. So the invalid array contains all the invalid arrays numbers, all these invalid credit card numbers over here. So we're gonna test out the find invalid cards method, and we're gonna pass it the invalid cards array. Since the invalid array possesses 5 invalid cards, we expect that the return of these invalid cards would be the 5 credit card numbers credit cards or arrays that are here. And then we are gonna see which of these invalid numbers have a specific company attached to it. If the company was American Express that issued that invalid card, or MasterCard or Visa. So for now, I'm gonna just run this function, and we're gonna test this out ourselves and see if it's working or not. Let me clear this output. And since we're here in a file called Codecademy, we're gonna say node codecademy.jas, and we're gonna expect to see five cards, and we're gonna see if the cards are from MasterCard or Amex or Visa. So we see that the companies that issued the wrong cards was Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover. And we see here a long list of numbers. Well, let's try to see if this is what we are expecting. So if we go back to the invalid arrays, we got one that ends in 795 and one in 643. Let's check in our output if we have one with 795, and we do. 795 here. This is the first invalid credit card. The other one ended in 643. We got it here. So it's correctly giving out the results that we expect. So the function is indeed working. So thank you everybody, and